Calling to order the Thursday, October 12th, meeting of the Fairfield Fire Commission.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
We have a moment of silence for all the first responders, for themselves and also to the members of the Bristol Police Department. Again, had to deal with violence in their waiting. Amendments both to the.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I seconded.
All those in favor of adopting the minutes?
Aye.
In regarding the Commissioner.
I'd like to make a motion to consider changing the name of the Commissioner's Achievement Award to the Harry Astley Senior.
Your second,
I'll second it.
Commissioner Cinto. Discussion?
I just gotta say that I was in touch with Amy, Harry's daughter. And she said that her dad would probably be really, really proud of that. And unfortunately, due to work, she was not able to make it today. That's the only thing I got.
Chief?
Lieutenant Smith, who chairs the awards committee, would like to address the item for the commission.
Sure.
Really quick, Commissioners, I just wanted to say thank you. We have a fairly rich history with a number of our awards, and I think it's fittingly so that Harry, you served as a captain in our organization for over 30 years and served on your commission as well, represented the firefighters both as a officer and as a commissioner. I think it's only fitting that this award is renamed in his honor. So thank you for taking that up.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Was the ayes have it. Now, Deputy Chief, the award presentation.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Fire Commission, for hosting this awards ceremony. Thank you all for your attendance, members of service and families. I'd like to thank Sheila Tessie and Jen Farr, who work in the office, for their logistical help in getting the awards together. And I'd like to thank Lieutenant Robert Smith, the chairman of the awards committee, for typing up the narratives, for all his work herding cats to get the awards committee voting and coming out with this final product, which is a result of a lot of very hard work. Thank you, Lieutenant. I'd also like to thank the members of the awards committee. It's over here, just to remember who, don't forget everyone. Lieutenant Robert Smith, Assistant Chief Pat Barry, Lieutenant Lee Corbo, firefighter Ron Peterson, firefighter Brian Kibbe, firefighter Finn McDaniel, and firefighter Chris Idem. I'd like to ask Lieutenant Smith to come up and read the narratives.
I'll bring everybody up. Just getting forward there. Sure. All right, when your name's called at the end of the narrative, please report to the front to the table. At 0001 hours on December 12th, 2022, The Emergency Communications Center received a call for the report of a motor vehicle accident with injuries on Interstate 95 southbound. Upon arrival, Assistant Chief Sherwood and firefighter Krychek in car 3 found a single car accident with the operator trapped under the front of the car with his arm under the right front tire. The patient was lying just in front of the wheels and his head was just visible on the passenger side. The crews on Company 2, under the command of Lieutenant Jordan Charney, who rapidly initiated lifting and stabilizing operation, taking great care to ensure the protection of the operator from being crushed by the car. The patient was rapidly extricated and turned over to AMR for transport. The patient suffered multiple rib fractures, soft tissue injuries, as well as 2 herniated discs in his spine requiring surgery. After recovering from his injuries in the hospital, the patient was released and returned home to his family. For their actions under extreme pressure at this incident, with the patient's life hanging in the balance, Assistant Chief Skylar Sherwood and firefighter Peter Krychek are awarded the unit citation for valor.
Firefighter Krychek.
In the afternoon of March 26th, 2023, the ECC received a call for a motor vehicle accident with the male driver unresponsive in the motor vehicle. Car 3 and Company 2, under the command of Assistant Chief Eric Caliper, arrived on scene and found the patient in cardiac arrest. Personnel immediately extricated the patient and began CPR, in addition to prepare the automated external defibrillator and the cardiac compression device to deliver advanced pre-hospital life-saving care. The patient's respirations were assisted with high-flow oxygen via the bag valve mask. The patient was removed to the ambulance and was transported to St. Vincent's Medical Center for further treatment with firefighter Kibbe assisting. While en route to the hospital, the patient regained pulse and respirations. The patient was treated at the hospital and after a short rehab was released to return home to make a full recovery. For their actions at this incident, the following personnel are awarded the David W. Russell Jr. Exceptional Medical Service Award. Assistant Chief Eric Caliper, Lieutenant Robert Delmhurst, firefighter Timothy Ward, firefighter Brian Kibbe, firefighter Peter Ayub, firefighter Justin Renda, firefighter Nicholas Recroy, and firefighter Nicholas Demko. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, so congratulations. Well done. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Congratulations. Job well done. Okay. Job well done. Congratulations. Job well done. Got it. Done. Congratulations.
Half on that side, half on this side?
Sure. No, not in front of that screen, right?
Oh,
There you go.
gotcha. You're gonna get right in the middle. Right?
Good job.
Yeah. Sure.
In the afternoon of June 23rd, 2023, the ECC received a call for a man that had collapsed while playing golf on the Fifth Fairway. Engine 3, under the command of Lieutenant Robert Smith, arrived on the scene and was transported by golf cart with their medical equipment to the patient's location. Once at patient's side, Engine 3 found the patient in cardiac arrest with a civilian performing CPR. Personnel immediately took over compressions and continued CPR while preparing the AED and cardiac compression device to deliver advanced pre-hospital life-saving care. The patient's respirations were assisted with high-flow oxygen via bag valve mask. Engine 3 administered one shock with the AED, attempting to restore the patient's heart rhythm prior to the arrival of AMR. Upon arrival, AMR found the patient to have a restored heart rhythm, but still in respiratory distress. Firefighter Heath continued to assist with patient respirations as the patient was moved to the ambulance and prepared for transport. Firefighter Hubble drove the ambulance to St. Vincent's Medical Center so that additional life-saving measures could be administered by AMR while en route to the hospital. Upon arrival at the hospital, the patient was intubated and placed in a medically induced coma. The patient underwent a successful surgery to install an internal defibrillator and pacemaker. The patient was extubated a few days after his procedure, and after a short rehab was released to return home to make a full recovery. For their actions at this incident, the following personnel are presented with the David W. Russell Jr. Exceptional Medical Service Award: Lieutenant Robert Smith, Firefighter Eric Hubble, Firefighter George Heath.
Want to take a picture, Ken?
Lays down during the stuff. See? Just to get up, just to say it's.
In the morning of July 26, 2023, the ECC received a call for a man that was having difficulty breathing. Prior to the arrival of fire personnel, the patient became unresponsive. Engine 4, under the command of Lieutenant Scott Tremblay, arrived on scene and was escorted by family members to the patient's location. Once at patient's side, Engine 4 found the patient in cardiac arrest with a Fairfield police officer performing CPR. Personnel immediately took over compressions and continued CPR while preparing the AED and CCD to deliver advanced pre-hospital life-saving care. An oral airway was inserted to ensure the patient had an open airway, and the patient's respirations were assisted with high-flow oxygen via bag valve mask. Engine 4 delivered one shock with the AED, attempting to restore the patient's heart rhythm prior to the arrival of AMR. Once on scene, AMR continued with the advanced life-saving care already underway by Engine 4. Units then developed and executed a plan for extricating the patient from the basement to the awaiting ambulance outside, utilizing a mega mover, patient transport device, and pure strength and determination. The patient was transported to St. Vincent's Medical Center with firefighter Haller assisting en route. The patient was transported to the cath lab to undergo critical cardiac care with a successful outcome. After an extended stay at the hospital, the patient was released and able to return home. With physical and occupational therapy, the prognosis for the patient's full recovery is anticipated. For their actions at this incident, the following personnel are presented with the David W. Russell Jr. Exceptional Medical Service Award: Lieutenant Scott Tremblay, Firefighter Jeffrey Janik, and Firefighter Mackenzie Haller.
Oh, you got a picture? In the middle.
Thanks, John.
I do.
In the afternoon of August 12th, 2023, the ECC received a call that a man was having an allergic reaction from multiple bee stings. Engine 3, under the command of Lieutenant Scott Tremblay, arrived on scene to find the patient slumped over against the screen door between the house and the breezeway. The patient was diaphoretic, purple in color, and was not breathing. The crew of Engine 3 repositioned the patient to establish an airway and immediately began rescue breathing treatments, all while continually being stung by angry bees. Firefighter Batchelor prepared and administered one dose of life-saving epinephrine prior to the arrival of the ambulance. AMR arrived on scene and the patient was quickly prepared for transport to the hospital for further emergency medical treatment. For their actions at this incident, the following personnel are presented with the David W. Russell Jr. Exceptional Medical Service Award: Lieutenant Scott Tremblay, firefighter Craig Vaporis, and firefighter Andrew Batchelor. And at this time, we would like to ask Mr. Sam Hamilton to come up to see the gentleman. Mr. Hamilton was a patient that day and is here with us right now.
I'd like to say very quickly that I wanted to come tonight so that I could say I finally realized how much dedication, skill, and expertise that each one of you put in every time you step on the truck. And without you, I say things like, a piece of coal was just a piece of coal, but under a great deal of pressure, it turns to a very precious diamond. And that afternoon on August 12th, I don't wish to call you coal, but we did turn to a diamond under a great deal of pressure. I'm really, well, without it, I'd be in big trouble. Also, my dog's with me tonight because she also received several stings. And through the kindness and gentleness, they put her in the house and took care of her. And she's just as important. So.
Here's the Mago.
My-
Wait, everybody say Buzz.
Right,
It was his birthday cake. When
Is
the
that-
day came home, was his birthday. So I got him a cake.
Isn't
Said,
this
Happy birthday.
great?
Buzz."
Thank you.
This will conclude the awards portion of the ceremony. I'd just like to congratulate all of the recipients for the accolades that they so richly deserve, and for those that do a great job every day that are not recognized as well.
Thank you all for
Thank you, Lieutenant Smith. I'd just like to ask the fire chief to come up and just say a few words.
So, nothing more important than the fire department can do than to recognize the service and commitment, dedication of the members of the department. We respond to 10,000 calls a year, 30 calls a day. And 30 calls a day, our firefighters have contact with the public. And those exchanges occur not only with the patient or the victim or the business owner, homeowner, but their families as well. As you heard in some of the narratives, we're fortunate to have advanced equipment. We have drugs on board, so our personnel can administer things like Narcan or epinephrine. We have advanced tools that help us do excellent CPR and deliver the very best care that is possible. But what's most important is our members have the knowledge, the skill, and most importantly, the compassion to do that job and treating everyone as if they're family. And it's the experience that we just heard, how important that is. There are people who are walking today as a result of these calls that are alive and enjoying their families because of the work of the Fairfield firefighters. So just if you'll all join me with a round of applause for our Fairfield firefighters.
I would just like to ask firefighter Kratchik, just to get a quick picture. We neglected to get a picture with you.
It's all right. Drag this out. Drag this out.
Picture for the kitchen.
Super important.
I'm gonna go old school, probably say, put right on there.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the meeting for 10 minutes, just so that if we need to do a meet and greet or something in between, and get back here in 10 minutes to continue the meeting.
All in favor?
Thank you.
The meeting is suspended.
For 10 minutes.
Again, thank you very much for coming.
Glad you're still here.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And wow, I'm sorry about this. How are you?
This is my dad.
Right, sorry. Without him. We're gonna, oh, jeez. It's on purpose. I gotta get Stansfield on the case, because he'll dig through the boxes. And we'll send them. Perfect.
I'll make it here.
Pleasure.
I got 12 years.
Yesterday?
That's a scary.
Property owner here.
Resuming the regular meeting. The chairman is not here, so I don't have anything to report from her. Chiefs. You have anything to report?
Just a couple of things. As you certainly know, the department responded to some significant calls. I don't know, were you going to speak to those?
You can do that then.
At Sacred Heart, and then yesterday morning, a fatal accident involving a trash truck, and then a suicide yesterday afternoon. I think that, as difficult as those scenes are to process, and we have an internal process to support our members with peer support team. But tonight, a couple of people mentioned, as tough as yesterday was, it was helpful to have tonight to celebrate some of the successes that, the same people who responded to these tragedies were recognized tonight for those calls that we reviewed with you tonight. It certainly points to how difficult this job is, how challenging it is, sometimes physically and sometimes emotionally. And we've talked in the past about the impact in PTSD and, the emotional impact that firefighters and police officers have. And I want you to know that, the department and some very talented people within the department pursue support of their brothers and sister firefighters aggressively, making sure that, they check in, the shift commanders do it regularly, check in on firefighters who are participating in some of these traumatic events to make sure that they're okay, to make sure that they know that there are resources available for them should they struggle with what they saw, what they did. So tonight's award ceremony comes at a perfect time for the department. So thank you for officiating it. I did want to just bring you up to speed on a couple of other items. We are pursuing capital budget requests. That process starts earlier than the regular budget. We had an informal meeting 2 days ago. The deputy and I presented our requests for the capital budget, which will include station repair and replacement of a mechanic's vehicle. And that process will continue through December or January when it gets voted on. And the regular budget will be developed. We're in the process of developing it certainly will share it with the commission at the appropriate time. I certainly expect that we will include additional staffing for the fire marshal's office in that budget presentation. And that's been, a goal that we have discussed with you, we've discussed with the finance department and the select woman's office. So that's certainly one of the big things that we have in front of us. So with that, short report, I'll turn it over. Yes, I'm sorry.
Quick question, chief, the budget year starts when and ends when?
July 1st. So it runs on July to June 30th. We're starting, the finance department is starting the budget process a little bit earlier this year, just so, it's easier to, before the holidays to get much of the legwork done. And then all of the public meetings occur in January, February, and March.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
So in regard to operations, there was a fire in a dorm at Fairfield University, started by a candle. A student in a neighboring unit heard the commotion, went out his window onto the roof into the apartment and put out the fire with a bucket. Prior to our arrival, our people then got there, ventilated, and ensured that there was no further incident. And the chief mentioned a couple other of these difficult incidents that our people have responded to. So we're continuing ongoing meetings about the new radio project. They're starting to put the equipment is mostly staged and is still being worked on at the radio sites. So, the infrastructure radios and some of the other portable equipment, I think, is coming in dribs and drabs. So everything is moving, and hopefully we'll have something more to report next month. Also ongoing is the BRICS implementation, which Chief Caliper is working on. There's some problems with how some of the codes were coming over from dispatch and interpreted by BRICS or whatever. So Chief Caliper is fixing that so that we'll be able to implement our new fire station alerting system, which is it's the system which translates what the computer-aided dispatch is spitting out to notify the firefighters in the fire stations. And we'll give you more. We'll give you maybe something to demonstrate that when it does come out, at a subsequent meeting. We're awaiting some information from the vendor on Marine 228 repair. We're doing all preparations that we need. We've taken the motors off the boat in preparation for it to be transported to Canada. And we're preparing the trailer. We've done some work on the trailer. There's still a little bit more work to be done on the trailer to make it roadworthy so that the trailer can take the boat up to be repaired, the fireboat that was sunk earlier this year. We're also working on donating old turnouts, our turnouts, coats and pants, which are out of NFPA compliance, but firefighters in the Ukraine are looking to use them. So we've got some people who can put the logistics together, and hopefully next week they'll be picked up. So that's we've got about 5 carts, wheeled carts filled with turnouts. So this would be something where they're still serviceable, but not NFPA compliant, but still help the firefighters in Ukraine and Donetsk area of Ukraine. The town, as I mentioned, has a new website. You can go on the town website at its old address and then drill down there to the fire department. We're still doing some final touches on our website. It's basically modeled after the previous one we had, but we've done a little more work on that. Also, another thing for us to have to learn is that there's a new service request system that's replacing Q-Alert, which is the town work order system. So we just have to kind of figure out how that works and ensure that that it gives timely reports to DPW or whoever else are fixing our facilities. And speaking of facilities, the fuel pump in the rear of Station 2, which I reported on previously, the wiring is complete. They're going to be filling the tank with fuel this week. Then they're going to do pressure tests, and then hopefully soon we'll be able to use that. That's been a long time coming. I think it was in the fall where a contractor ran over the pump and we had to get a whole new tank because the existing tank, we're not able to adapt that to the new system. So everything had to go, and we were also needing a greater capacity and a safer system since that was an underground tank of age. So we have been planning on having it replaced by DPW. So now we have twice as much fuel. We've got a 2,000 gallon above ground Connex tank. So and that concludes my report for tonight.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chief.
Is Southport Volunteer Fire Department here on the phone? Stratfield? Local 14.
So weird angle, I just want to put it in the back of my head. Bald spot. So just a brief, you work with what you got, right? Just a brief update. Lieutenant Tuttle couldn't make it, so I'm presenting on behalf of the union. Two things I have for you tonight. The first one is, at the beginning of the month, the rebuttable presumption cancer legislation went into effect. That would protect all of our brother and sister firefighters. They were to get cancer, to be awarded benefits and healthcare benefits, and God forbid they can't continue their service duty, the ability to retire. I ask that all of you monitor those progressions as our female and male firefighters apply for those benefits. Make sure you hold the town's feet to the fire and do the right thing. You're in positions of power and influence. And what you do and what you say resonates very loudly with the town. So if we do find bumps in the road or things that we can't transverse to get people the benefits and the help that they need, I'm going to ask for you, all of you, to step up and be our backstop for those occurrences. That's the first item. The second item is that you have a question?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Okay. Just the way that you phrase something, do we have two people that are gonna be?
We have someone who's going through the process now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and we understand the town has to do their due diligence, and I think they're trying to find their footing. But I just hope that there's not I hope that they recognize the intent of the statute. And I hope that they do the right thing by the members that are sick. Does that work?
Yeah, that works. I'll talk to you later.
So to clarify, it's a rebuttable presumption.
It is. So there's certain,
The town could contest it if
They
they
can.
have other evidence.
they can, the onus is on the town to refute them.
Right.
All right, so, and there's certain things that the applicant has to, had to abide by in his or her history to be awarded those benefits. Like if you're a tobacco user you couldn't have used tobacco in the last 15 years. Like that makes sense, right?
Right.
You're supposed to have an annual physical. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but that's one of the provisions in the statute. So.
My question is, Liam, for you, or may I ask it?
You go ahead.
Chief, is the statute written in correlation with firefighters and the town, or who wrote the statute?
I wasn't there for the writing of the statute, but I believe it was an agreement with the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, the legislatures, and the state firefighters, professional firefighters. Yeah. I don't think every side got exactly what they wanted,
Okay.
but I think it was a good come to the center moment. And hopefully, if there are any pitfalls or black holes that exist in the statute, that those can be amended or changed later in the future legislation.
Understood. Thank you.
Second item. So Saturday will mark the 3-month anniversary of the arbitration award. We still have not received our retro pay. We had a municipal prohibitive labor practice hearing last week on this very issue, where we asked the town for interest. Not for interest going back for the fiscal year of fiscal year 21, 22, and 23, in which they didn't pay, but just interest from the date of the arbitration award till the date that the checks actually get cut. That amount totals approximately $1.2 million, which we assume was probably sitting in a high interest yield account. So that means that the town may have made up to $15,000 on pay that was owed to the firefighters. It seems only reasonable, considering that our wages or our wage increases under this arbitration award were only half of what inflation was, that the town give up those interest values to the firefighters, considering they waited so long for that money. We'll have to see what comes out of the hearing process, and if it has to go up to Weathersfield to go to a formal hearing. But again, I ask if any of you have any influence or help. It seems like the right thing to do, because the town had that $1.2 million for the 3 months since the arbitration award, still haven't issued the check. So.
Yes, in the contract, was there any wording about the back interest?
No, so there is no language verbatim for a deferred payment. But you could make an argument that the timeliness of the payment could have been made a number of weeks after the arbitration award.
Within 30 days or something. Yeah.
At least within 30 days. In fact, knowing that some of these calculations were going to be very complex, me and my team had made multiple offers to the Human Resource Department to sit down with them, in fact, 2 days after the arbitration award came out, and said, listen, let's sit down, let's crunch these numbers, and let's get this thing going, because we have people that are waiting for, a considerable amount of money. And we never really got a response. And then after 2 weeks later, a second request, and again, just kind of brushed off until it kind of got political, and then we finally got the response that we wanted. And I do have to say, within the last 3 or 4 weeks, the town has been diligently working with our team to get to these values. So I do feel good about that, but it still sticks in my stomach that money was sitting in that account for 3 months. Again, I'm not going back to, just 2 fiscal years ago. I'm just saying from the date of the arbitration award that the town earned interest on that money. That does seem unfitting. So.
And a follow-up question. Is there, either with this or past administrations, any past practice that was done?
I cannot remember a time in my career where they've gone this far waiting for retro pay. I think some of it had to do with, I'm going to be very frank.
And I'm not talking just fire department. I mean,
Yeah,
in any town department,
I don't know.
did they?
There have been members that have since separated from the town
Mhm.
that said I would have had the factors in the accounting program the next day.
Right.
Right. And it just seemed like it wasn't a priority at the time. There were other things that were on top of the pile. And it wasn't our wage increases. And it wasn't until it became it started to grow some political traction where it actually got a response. And then it became a priority, probably after the grievance was filed in the NPP. And then we started, they had to actually say something before the state labor board.
I was just looking to see if, we can find something that, as a commission, we can say, hey, look, the town's done this before, let's get on the ball. Let's get all this done. And that's why I'm looking for whether there was a past practice, was there another, whether public works, police, Board of Ed or whatever. I'm just trying to figure out if there's something that we can hang our hat on so that we have ammunition when we start.
So what sticks with me is that you may also know, I serve another duty. I serve on the pension board. Right? I'm the representative for the police fire pension board. I also serve on the joint pension investment committee. And about 6 months ago, there was a number of accounting errors that had happened where some pensioners were overpaid. Not at their fault, right? It was a clerical error by the Human Resource Office. And then when the town decided to go after that back pay, they wanted to charge the retiree interest for something that he or she didn't do. So you see where I'm coming from now.
Right.
So-
Right, which it's good for this end, it's good for
So
this end.
I was able to convince, and many others were able to convince the town to say, listen, that's not the best course of action. They definitely want to take with retirees.
Yeah.
When it's not their fault to charge them interest. But you can see here now, looking at it from this side of the street and what has happened, it only seems right. Especially on 1.2 million.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would assume 30 days.
Yeah, and 30 days would be, I mean, that seems like a good enough time. Most invoices, 30 days paid, and after that, there was some kind of interest bearing things.
Right.
So, I thank you very, very much for your time and efforts. Again, and you can do just to kind of monitor and hold people's feet to the fire would be greatly appreciated.
William, may I ask? you?
Yeah, yes,
Twofold.
sure.
I thought it was 19 years since they've ever had arbitration. Is that correct? Since the fire department never had arbitration or?
So arbitration is the negotiating process.
Yes, and it's been.
You're talking about when was the last time we had a binding arbitration with a settlement?
Yeah.
Not in my career that I know that we've gone up to the arbitration board and actually had a hearing with a resolve. Yeah, got an award.
Okay. And my other question is, did you think that it would be appropriate to ask for 20, 21, 22 interest? Or did you realize that it was millions and it wouldn't happen no matter whether you asked or not? And what was your purpose in not asking? Is that the purpose?
So typically, that's not something that's awarded, right? It's not fair to the employee because there's no motivation on the town to settle quickly. If you think about it, right? It's basically an interest-free loan to the town by the employee, bared by the employee. So if I was a town manager, the last thing I would do is settle fast because under these current environmental times where you can earn a good interest rate on your cash, it benefits you or behooves you not to settle quickly. I think that in the next round of negotiations, that's definitely something that I'm going to, make sure is in the ground rules and is going to be part of the proposal. But as far as I know, in this town with our bargaining unit, there have never been interest awarded for back pay. Again, I think that the only time that the state labor board has awarded interest has been where it's been proven where the town is either not properly conducted business
Mhm.
and maybe dragged their feet a little bit.
To finish my question, if I might, so in other words, you feel very compelled to say, we're accepting 30 days and 30 days is adequate, which I hear.
That's my time.
I'm responding to because I know that you've got more background in it than I do. And I would tend to think that's logical, that at least, we'll live with 30 days, but now you're at 90.
So we're now at 90, that's exactly it. Yeah, it will be 90 on Saturday since the arbitration award. And to lay all the cards on the table, the town won across all the years for the wage increases, right? We lost. I don't see how it happened, but somehow it happened. The stars were not aligned in my favor, and the town won. But it was the town's proposal, right? The town knew what the proposal was. They had to cost out the proposal. They knew the math of their proposal. So, to say, oh, it was complicated, we had to do all these equations, we had to do all this. Yeah, there is some equations behind it. It is a little complicated and it is tedious, absolutely. But with a team of people, yeah, you can make it happen. But it was their proposal, it wasn't my proposal.
Yeah, understood.
You know?
Not making any video comparisons, but I think the town settled with it from across the street. What was would they get retroactive back pay?
So that's a good point. So the bargaining unit across the street, they had settled prior to their contract
Yeah.
expiring.
Right.
So that was not an option.
That's a question.
Who you were just referring to? I didn't hear you.
Police
The
department.
police.
You were referring to the police. Oh, when you said across the street. Thank you.
I did, but it's
We'll
going.
come back to you.
And I,
I'll, you'll get a text message.
All right.
So
You'll get an email.
Yes.
when do you think that they will get their check?
Well,
What you got,
if-
knowing,
You could speak to that.
Okay.
So, was that the question?
No, but I remembered it was
Fine.
a statement I had and I got it.
Okay.
good.
So, with our diligence and the work of the town's finance department, if all the stars are aligned and we don't see any hiccups and no one calls in sick, we're probably looking at the last pay period in October. Yeah, there's a lot of single person possible failures. So if someone were to be off sick, it could be pushed off one more week. But right now, we're looking at the end of October, so it would be over 3 months.
Just over 90 days, yeah.
So, and this is just more for the commission than a question. But, we all come from private business. And if we had something like this happening, where we knew there's gonna be wage increases, we're gonna do this and that, we prepare for the worst case scenario and have everything all worked out so that we know what our budgets are gonna be for coming years. And they didn't even prepare for the best case for the town, which they got. So I'm baffled. I am. And there's people downtown that know I'm baffled and upset.
I appreciate you being those advocacies that we really need.
But Joe, in defense of that, a municipality doesn't seem to function the way Mr. Cinto would, or I would, or you would, right? Mr. Cinto, right? Would you
yeah,
agree?
of course.
But having said that, it operates differently, which means the challenge is a stronger challenge for them. And I would have hoped that it would have worked out in especially the police and the fire, especially. Your infrastructure.
I'm looking at
part-
budget numbers. You have to figure out your budget for coming years and project it of what's coming down the road. So, and you always project for worst case scenario, not best case scenario. The best case scenario, hey, I'm good, I'm ahead of the game.
Yeah,
But you need to know what your worst case scenario is gonna be, and the only way to do that is to run numbers.
I think again, what hurts is that when you make the request twice, saying, let's get together and do this, because, if we don't get it right out the gate, you don't get the formulas and the wage outright the gate, and the different work hours, so we have different, benefits in there for different people. If you don't get all that right, the first step, and it carries through, it can be detrimental, right? I think you're gonna make more work for yourself.
sure, that's why you're.
We did have that.
90 days. We did discuss this earlier, that you people offered 3 people at the last meeting. It was maybe Lieutenant Tuttle said that you offered assistance.
We did it immediately after the award came out, 2 weeks after that, and then we were just there was no response. So, no
We
positive response.
hope that the next meeting you say they've received their checks.
With interest.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anytime, thank
You
you.
bet.
Sir?
Yeah.
Yes,
Shall I speak from here, or would you like me to come up there?
it's up to you.
I'll speak from here. if that's okay.
We can spin.
I'm happy to say that, being a volunteer organization, we've had plenty of opportunities for activities this month. Starting back in September, we had our annual membership meeting. We had pizza and a wonderful speaker. Our chief was there and actually said some very inspiring things to our team. I got some very good input after that. And we had an election of new officers. And I don't know if any of you know Kathy Curley, she's now coming on board our leadership team. So we're very happy to have her. The others were reelected. Let's see, September 26th, we had a lot of CERT members who volunteered to go to the Tweed New Haven Airport full-scale exercise. A lot of CERT teams in the region went up there and acted as victims with moulage, and I've got some great pictures, so that it was great for them to see it. Even as victims, you learn a lot by watching what goes on around you. So that was a great opportunity. September 30th, each year, at least once, and then now maybe they'll do it twice. The state has a training day for all the CERT teams in the state. And they had one on September 30th, and we had many members go there, many opportunities, different classes. Let's see, and then in our region in particular in the state, we have a lot of cooperation among the CERT teams in different towns. We sometimes train together. And Wilton had a program, Wilton CERT had an opportunity to have Chief Neil Sweeting from Metro North Railroad discuss preparation and response in railroad emergencies. We had many of our members go there and listen, which seems relevant since we have multiple stations in our town. So that was a good opportunity for folks. And moving forward, we're going to have some more classes in terms of training and stop the bleed and that type of thing. We're keeping active, which is important since we have a bunch of volunteers and we would like to keep them. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, and thank you for all you do. Were there any donations?
Yes, there is. There's one in our packet. I'd like to make a motion to accept the donation.
I second it.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
You'll
Any,
our packet.
Yeah, the fact is, it's,
It's a single
Oh,
sheet.
God, yes, I saw
we had a small package.
20, yeah,
Yeah, we had a small package this meeting.
very nice.
are there any old business? New business? Any public comment? Any other business? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.